Well, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to the Women's Empowerment Series. This is a new episode today, and I have an amazing guest with me from Washington. Karima, it's such an honor to have you. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hynd. It's my pleasure.
It's good morning. Good morning to you. This is your morning. We're still afternoon from this side of the world.
Yes.
Yes. And I am so excited. This is a Women's Empowerment Series, is a series that we organize to have a conversation about different fields and different women from different levels who are doing amazing jobs in their expertise, in their area of work, but also who are impacting the world through everything that they do. And you are an amazing leader. And so it's really nice to have you with me today.
Oh my God. I look forward to the conversation. I know it's going to be a great one. I've watched the history of your interviews and they've been amazing. So, yes.
Yes, that is so true. And you know what's amazing is just we have incredible women who are doing so well in different fields.
Mhm.
And so that's why this morning I'm so happy to talk about, legal issues, being, you are a lawyer, you are a CEO, you are a founder, and you are also helping women in boardrooms and men in boardrooms to
Yes.
excel and to rise. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us about you and how you came to this career.
Oh, wonderful. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Karima Mariama-Arthur. I am the founder and CEO of Wordsmith Rapport. It is an executive consulting firm that specializes in leadership development and organizational performance management. I've also been a corporate attorney for the past 20 years or so. And how I came into entrepreneurship was an interesting sort of trek, if you will.
Mhm.
I found that being an attorney was really the great love of my life. But at some point, I realized that there was more for me to do. And I found that there were big gaps, big gaps in the area of leadership development, especially at the executive level, and they needed to be addressed. And based on the skills and experience that I had had, my past performance in the corporate arena really positioned me in a unique place to be able to bring that knowledge and skill set at the corporate level, in the boardroom, and at the management level as well.
Wow, this is nice. So, as you observe that there are some things missing, you're like, okay, why don't I take the lead and actually be the one that is filling the gap in what's missing? Whoa, this is so powerful. It is powerful
Yeah.
because you acted on it. Because a lot of people see that, there are problems, things are missing, but they don't really take that leap and get the confidence to actually go on and build a company and do it. How was it to really start doing that? Was it just confidence? Was it just a drive? Was it believing in the need for what you do?
I think a combination of all of the three, and also that angst. I think that every entrepreneur feels when they feel that there's something more to be done and it just hasn't been done yet. And
Mhm.
that internal drive to get to the other side is what takes you, because, it reminds me of the great work of Angela Duckworth in Grit, because my beginning was a lot like many beginnings, probably when it comes to entrepreneurship, is
Mhm.
that you have good days, you have days where you feel fully inspired and motivated, but you also have days when you're questioning your worth, your
Yeah.
ability to contribute, how well this will really make an impact on the industry. And I had an artful mix of those days, but it was the grit, that desired that I had to get to the other side no matter what, was what kept me through and what drove me to today. Yeah.
I love that. It was the grit. I love that word. And you embody it so well because it's like you persevere. You're like, I'm getting to that other side.
Yeah.
Where do you think you got that drive from? Is it growing up? Is it from your studies? Where did it come from? Let's go
Ooh,
back. Let's
yeah.
go back to Karima's young Karima.
Let's to the
Let's
core of
go
the person.
find her,
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't anything I learned in school, for example. Like, we talk a lot about the soft skills and how we don't really get those in an academic level.
No, that's true.
Yeah, I think, I grew up in California, and I think, I had a lot of strong female role models who also
Mhm.
had a rough way to go. And I
Yeah.
learned, what it was like to dig down deep. And even when things don't look the way you want them to, when they don't feel the way they look them you want them to, for you
Mhm.
to be able to move through that, get that internal drive, that fire that just will
Yeah.
not burn out, and
Yeah.
move, even when you don't feel like doing it, even when you don't have the confidence of other people to help support you. You can
Yeah.
still get to the other side. And I think that's what sustained me, through my law school career, through my professional
Really?
career, and certainly as an entrepreneur.
So it was really female role models that helped you
Yes.
looking up to other women?
Yes, in my family. And I have to say,
Really?
yeah, and it wasn't that these women that I'm talking about were some big successes in the
It's
corporate
okay.
world or in the legal world. It was who they were as people,
Yes.
their
So in
values.
your family, who was that for
Yeah,
you?
my mom, my grandma,
Mm.
my aunt.
Oh,
Yeah. Hmm.
wow. I was also inspired a lot by my grandma. That's interesting. And
Yeah.
it's true, we do find some strength in them, even though you think the world doesn't see it, but you're like, wow, how can she be this way? I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would say too, one thing for my grandmother's part, she had a sort of a mantra, and she never wanted me to be bound. And I
Uh-huh.
remember when I gave one of my first public speaking talks in the area of entrepreneurship, I talked about the way she wanted me to break the chains that bind. And for that, I always keep that sort of as a visual, but also as a sentiment. If I feel that I'm in a place where I really need to get some wiggle room, where I really need to be able to bust through, make a breakthrough, I think about what she said, and I feel myself available and able to break those chains that bind, whether mental shackles or any other type of bureaucracy. I break them.
So what did she say? Can you say it again slowly
No,
for everyone to
yes,
hear it?
to break the chains that bind, and
I
those
love that.
chains, yeah,
To break the chains that bind, the
yes,
ones that holds you down.
yes, yes.
Wow,
Hmm.
I love that.
Hmm.
That's amazing. That's very, very pioneer, I must say, for the other It is, right?
Yeah,
There's something that really strikes me also when you listen to Maya Angelou and the way she said when she goes speaking on stage and she's nervous, she's like, she goes and she takes her grandma with her, her mother, everyone that loved her. I
yeah,
thought that was the most beautiful image. And that's what you do. That's what I do.
yes,
Like you go and you're like, I'm not alone. I have all these incredible women role models who are with
mhm.
me.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
yes, I love that. That's true. So breaking the chains. So they must be so proud of you to be able to.
Yeah, I think they are. There's things that I think together we've been able to do that, without having them near me, might not be as possible. So I appreciate the support,
Yeah.
because no man or woman is an island. I believe that.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I agree so much. Yeah. And so, how is it now as an entrepreneur? Hi, Asma. I see some people. Tell us where you're connecting from. Hello, Zahra. Hello, Asma. It's good to have you with us today. And if you have any questions to me or to the beautiful Karima, she's such an amazing lady. Drop it in the chat and we will answer it. So now as an entrepreneur, how is it? You work with executives on the board. How do you see it from a gender perspective, but also for you as a woman and female rising
Yes.
in high level spheres?
I really love the work. I think that it's absolutely indispensable, because we set the tone at the top in the corporate world, in any organization where there is emphasis.
Donna is here. I want to say cuckoo to Donna, your friend. Hi, Donna. So good to have you with
So glad she's here today.
us. There she is.
Yes, Rhode Island. Uh,
Yeah.
it's needed work,
Yeah.
and it's work that we really rely on, so that we can sort of set the pace for everything that happens across the organization,
That's true.
across silos, because we're really interested in bridging silos. People talk
Uh-huh.
about breaking them, but we're
Yeah.
about bridging them, because we're trying to create an ecosystem of
Mhm.
leadership.
Mhm. So when you say silos, is it silos within the organization or is it
Yes,
in different industries within the organization?
yes. Hmm.
So bridging them, you mean bringing them to work together
Yes, greater
coherently.
communication, transparency, being able to deal with risk management from a very proactive and also responsive
Mm.
perspective, which is
Mhm.
what a lot of organizations are failing at doing currently.
Yeah, so it's like having a certain coherence within their organization.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Oh, look at you got a lot of Good stuff. Thanks, Afaf. So so let's go back, and I want to, you have something that really struck me in your bio is the awards nomination for your book, and Poised for Excellence. Can you tell us more, and if there is a link, whoever wants to get it, and what is in the book,
Oh,
what are these fundamental principles that you
uh,
really work towards, so
oh,
guide us through that.
okay.
Yeah.
So, writing my first book was one of the great loves of my life. I had been wanting to write a book since I was a child, and the opportunity came when I started on my own enterprise because I really needed some thought leadership to ground and center the work that I do. And
Mm.
so, it took me a few years. The entire process took 6 years, but we finally got to it. Palgrave Macmillan is the collaborator for the book, and as a result, when you write your first book, you want to get it out there. You want as many eyes and ears to see it as possible. And so we submitted it for a few different awards, including the NAACP Image Award, for which it was nominated and culled down into a small group, I think about 4 or 5 individuals. And so, very, very proud moment for me.
Congratulations. That's
Yes,
very big. That's
yes.
amazing. When was that? When was it?
In 2018, the book
Okay.
came out, and then it was nominated in 2019 in the beginning.
And so, what brought you to actually launch the book in the United States Military Academy as a
Oh,
student?
yeah.
What is, it's, so tell us more about the book itself, about leadership, and why did you think about the military as a first step for leadership?
Yes, because the work I do is grounded in leadership development, I really needed a book that exemplified that so I can create guiding principles, a little bit more guidance for the people that I work with. And so, because I have great respect for the military and particularly West Point,
Mm.
the sort of Valhalla, if you will,
Yes, oh,
where
sure.
all
Yeah,
great leaders are made, and all great
so true.
leaders look to for additional guidance.
Mm.
They were very instrumental in bringing their core groups together and allowing me to lecture and really bring those principles to heart. So it was a collaborative effort that happened in the background that we brought to the forefront to bring the most attention around this book centered on leadership. 40 principles within the book that really guide you
40,
towards, yes,
40, four
yes,
zero. Oh my God, that's a lot of principles and a lot of work to get them together.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. Well done.
yeah.
Well done.
Thank
So,
you, thank you.
how do they arrange? I mean, like, give us some examples just to
Okay.
have a feel
Yeah. Well,
for
some
this.
examples in there, they kind of take you through what you consider the leadership process, sort of what you're thinking, what you're doing, bridging collaboration with other people, and sort
Mhm.
of looking at the long term in terms of leadership. But for example, some of the principles include being a lifelong learner, because we know that leadership doesn't end when your academic career ends.
Exactly.
It just begins there. And so to be a lifelong learner, to ground yourself in being open to knowing that you don't know everything. As smart as you may be, you don't. So you need to keep on going. So that's
Yeah,
one of
yeah. It's like it's a journey of growth and evolution, and it's a continuous journey. And
yes,
I think the best way to put it is that leaders are students for life, for leadership.
we
They'll never
are.
stop.
We
It's
are.
like,
And we didn't make any apologies.
no, no apologies. You learn always, you elevate your leadership continuously.
Yes.
And I think I mean, and you can be the highest leader. It's always interesting to listen to someone telling you about the way they view the principles, because it will trigger something in you, even
Yeah.
if it's nothing to do with others is teaching, but
Yeah.
you just gonna see it
Yeah.
from an angle you didn't consider before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another one of my favorite ones is effective leadership is a lifeblood, emotional intelligence is a lifeblood of effective leadership,
Yeah.
because we talk so much about technical skill sets when it comes to advancing your career or being all that you can be. We don't think about those germane principles that define who we are and how we deal with individuals on a daily basis, and having that native sense for your own emotions, for
Mhm.
those of other people, and being able to respect that and guide that is the stuff of the gods. And so that's why that
Yeah,
was.
yeah, it is. It's like spiritual more than anything. It's like it's almost, there is a fine line between, what you do, and the spirituality, the energetics of another, of the divine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's interesting that you added also the emotional intelligence. How has it been taken? How do you take it from an angle? You're a lawyer, you're
Yeah.
corporate. How do you bring that? It's like,
Yeah, because I think that's something that the rest of the world wants folks to tap down on. They don't really respect it or value it. Sometimes it's considered
They
a
don't
weakness.
even teach it.
They don't teach it. And that's why it's been a big area for us, because we find that more and more of the world, more and more industries really value that. They realize that this is something that can change the face of the workforce, of the leadership, of every
Yeah,
conversation. And we want to continue to drive that point home until everyone gets it enough that we don't have to do that.
it's true.
It would take us out of work, but we
It's
would
so
love
true. It's so
to.
true. And have you seen some changes happening?
Yes,
Really?
yes,
How,
yes.
in board meetings, you think?
Yes, particularly across a spectrum, because here's the thing. A lot of times when we talk about, say, your ability to express your emotions,
Yeah,
again, on a continuum, sometimes we say if you express too much, you're going to have a blow up and it's going to hurt your career. You may get fired. You may get a red note in your file. So we're careful about the way people over express emotions, say.
right.
But
Yeah,
on the other end, there's this whole idea of being able to open your mouth and say something that matters, have the confidence to advocate for
yeah.
yourself. And that's on the other side, because a lot of people want to sort of keep you in a passive aggressive mode. And
Mm.
so we rail against that, because we believe that every voice matters, and we want to empower you at the gut level to be able to open your mouth and advocate for yourself.
I like that, but but it also have to be careful about that, because if people express too much their emotions,
Mhm.
then their logic and their intelligence goes down, because more your emotions are high, more your intelligence is somewhere else. So when you master how
Yeah.
to navigate through your emotions and still have a reasoning and a logic behind it, then you got it.
Right. That's self-regulation. That's an
Yeah.
integral point of emotional intelligence. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Because emotional intelligence is not like, it's not about expressing all your emotions. We don't want to hear everything. We don't really need to talk about it. It's so true, And you see
Mhm.
a lot of that. I mean, they confuse emotions into, just spilling all your vulnerability. No, don't
Yeah.
give me that.
It's a
No,
delicate dance. It's a delicate dance. And we teach you to do it well. But yes, it is a dance for
it
sure.
is a dance. It's like you don't go and vomit everything. No, you get yourself grounded.
Yeah.
You know?
And then it creates a mosaic, which we can all appreciate and respect.
I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's true, because then you start understanding where the person is coming from.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
that's the most important thing, to have that native context,
Yeah.
that ability to have empathy, because that's another component of emotional intelligence.
It
Yeah.
is. I wrote a lot about leadership, and to me, leadership today is a leadership with empathy. That's the new era.
Mhm.
You are not leading the same way as management used to be, which is like you do things, you do that. It's like, no, you lead with a lot of humanness in you. And I
Yes.
think your book is timely, because that emotional intelligence is what has been missing in, the performance KPIs and everything we're doing. So
Indeed. Hmm.
true. So how do you translate that and still sound like a super professional, yet you talk about emotions in the board
Because
meetings?
they live inside of me. It's something that
Yeah,
now I don't necessarily always have to be conscientious about,
yeah,
because it sort of lives inside of me. But we all need reminders. We all need to understand that we're human, we're frail, we make mistakes, and making mistakes okay, as long as we learn from them and we can move on from the last experience. And that's what it's about, having that grace and empathy and drive to do better, and to
mhm,
help others around us do the same thing.
mhm. Yeah, I agree with you, and that doesn't diminish from your excellence and from your hard
No,
work when you
no,
have it.
no,
It, it
not
should
even a little bit.
it should even polish it more and make it shine more, I think.
Yes, you can polish that stone till it becomes the diamond. The diamond
Yes,
lives in
yeah,
all
the
of us.
diamond. I love that image. Yeah, exactly. That's fun. So I love that. So now today the book is, I'm gonna go get it, because is it? Where can we find it? Let's drop the
Yes,
link to
on
everyone.
Amazon. It is on Amazon for all the world to see. If you have an Amazon account, you can just put in Poised for Excellence. It'll pop right up. Don't even need to go to the publisher's website. I think Amazon is much easier.
It is, and it's poised for excellence, because when
Yes.
we all run. I mean, we're programmed to thrive for excellence. And mainly when you really want to be a lawyer, your career, your academic background shows that. And more you add to it that emotional intelligence, it makes you even pushes you even higher up. I
Absolutely.
often say that. Yeah. So how is your life today as an entrepreneur, as a female?
Ooh,
um
I
yeah.
love it. I love it. I will say that it has not been without its challenges, because sometimes we're underestimated, not just in the boardroom or in management, but in any room. Sometimes that we enter, they expect a demure, sort of tamped down, incompetent individual to kind of show up and sort of be in the background. But my work has taught me to feel comfortable in any room that I go in. Certainly, I
Yeah.
belong there, and I own the room. I make myself big in the room. I'm a
I love that. Oh, I love that. Own the room. Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
How practically would you advise someone to feel that they own the room? Like, what is it? Is it the
Very practical
attitude, the way you?
tips.
Yeah. Tell me.
Yeah, when you're talking about how you hold yourself in a room, it has a lot to do with executive presence and the energy you bring, the intention you bring in the room. And
Attention.
you don't have to sort of cower in the corner. Hold your posture, give good eye contact,
Hmm.
modulate your voice. There's a way of, we call it talking down or speaking down. When
Hmm.
your voice is not up here, like it sounds like it's asking a question, you will create more resonance with the
Okay,
people.
okay. Well, this is very interesting. So you do not ask the question. So do you start high and then put it down, or you start down and then put it
I
high?
try to keep my voice modulated even, except for when I'm expressing a particular kind of maybe strong emotion or making a point, which
Yeah.
means that my voice normally sounds like it does now. It's very modulated. I think it's rich. It doesn't
It's
sound like I'm,
profound.
yeah,
I like it. It's
okay,
deep.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, and it's deep,
Yeah, I don't want to appear as if I'm asking a question when I'm not, or I'm
It's
unsure of what I'm saying or
that's
unsteady.
true. Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Because that's so when you ask that tone with question, it's like it's really because you are in doubt, you doubt and you're not sure. So
Yeah.
it's a lack of confidence most of the
Yes, and
time.
sometimes we do that unconsciously, because that's our knee jerk. That's something that's
We
happened.
always do that unconsciously, in
Yes,
fact. Yeah.
yeah, and
It's a
you're,
habit.
"Oh, oh," and people are like, "Oh, oh." You don't want that. Right.
It's right. It's so
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So keep grounded, keep calm,
Yes,
and be
and know that
present.
you need to be there. Be present. Yes, be present.
Because often women, when they come to those boardrooms and those, meetings where there are a lot of men, because it's mostly men still, the business world, you feel intimidated by that. So it's like, oh my God, I'm
Yes,
going to put myself so small. I can even hide myself under the table so they don't even notice me. Yeah. And that's the
exactly.
feeling that we
Yeah,
need to get rid of
we
for
rail
women.
against that. We rail against it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sit on the table, sometimes like, okay, it's okay, just sit there. I'll sit in the chair and on the back. But
right.
it's never do that again.
Yeah,
you know
integrate yourself,
yeah,
learn to collaborate. Yes, learn to lead.
learn to lead, and it
Mhm.
starts by leading yourself first.
Yes. Oh my God, speak to me. That is,
Yes.
I talk about that idea within the book, because one of the things I remind myself of too is that once you stop, say, for example, becoming a learner, once you stop being
Yeah.
open to criticism and understanding that you have gaps yourself, you forfeit the right to lead other people, because you're in no condition. You're in no condition.
Exactly. Yes, I agree. And once you come and actually think that emotional intelligence means being vulnerable and spilling everything about you, that's not leadership. Or a better one is that when you didn't work out all the issues, and when you actually go and then talking like, hold on, just let me go cry for a bit and then come back. You don't do that. You're a leader. You stand on top of all of that stuff. You work it out
Yes,
and you
you work
lead
it out.
yourself, and
Yes.
nobody's seeing it, because often it's like, what about if they see it, but if they notice?
Right, right, exactly. And that's one thing you can't really be afraid of. You have to sort of stand on the square, as we say, and let the chips fall where they may. And you might not always be perfect. I mean, perfect is a utopian value. So you
Mhm.
stand on the square, you say your piece, and then you let the chips fall.
Yeah. We have a question for you here. Esma is asking if you can tell them more about your business and what you do with helping corporations.
Oh, absolutely. Wordsmith Rapport is dedicated to leadership development and org performance management. Part of the component of org performance management is looking at corporate governance. So we're looking at decision making in the boardroom between the board and management. And that's a really big piece of our work that has started to expand globally. So we're
Mhm.
looking at board members, making sure they have the right training, making sure that they comply with the law. If they're in the United States, Delaware law, which sort of guides our corporate principles. If they're outside, we look at that governing law. We look at changes within the law and how to stay abreast of them, their filings, what the government requires so that you don't get yourself into trouble, and also keep individual board members away from liability. Because once a
Yeah.
corporate veil is pierced, once they engage in behavior that creates liability, then we go straight to the source. And we want to avoid that at all cost. But that,
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one, which is like protecting board members and themselves, right? As a person, yeah? Is that what you're referring to?
that's exactly what I'm referring to. And really looking at what are the interests of the corporation or the organization that you are charged with leading, because that is the goal. I mean, that's why you're there. It's not for your own self-interest. It's not for sidebar dealings. It's to uphold that mission. And if you're not doing that, if you're not committed to that, if you don't have the time to commit to that, then you need to pluck yourself out
Mm.
of that situation and perhaps go do something else.
Yes, very good. Wow, so that's really very useful and absolutely timely today as corporations are spreading around the world and the legal frameworks changes, right, from one
Yeah.
place to another.
Oh, it's always changing. It's like
Yeah.
a carousel, Ferris wheel, carousel. Yeah.
Good. And I love the way you take that with so much, with lightness, I mean, like with so much grace, because otherwise it's actually quite stressful, in fact, as
Yeah.
work.
Oh my gosh. And I would say, for our point, not against any other industry or profession, the legal profession is wrought with that sort of stress and the results and consequences that come with that. So, when you can avoid the worst result, it's to your benefit.
Yeah. We have another question, if you're up to it, from Donna.
Yes, of
And she's
course.
saying, how do you ensure one's corporate message from the top remains accurate and pure throughout the communication chain?
That's a great question, Donna, and thank you for asking that question. It really comes with the intention and sort of establishing culture.
Mm.
Culture is something that's established intentionally. A lot of organizations don't recognize that. They sort of go along to get along and just wonder
Mm.
why things happen the way that they happen. And so once you set culture intentionally, you are transparent and you set that value within the organization, then you can delineate that from the bottom to the top and from the top to the back and everywhere in between. And so it's a collaborative process. This is not a monologue from those that rail from the top and lead from the ivory tower, because we don't recommend that at all in terms of leadership strategy. But then you can integrate that principle into everything you do within the organization.
Fascinating. Thank you. I think, Donna, this answer your question. This is beautiful. I congratulate you for the amazing work you are doing, Karima, Mariama, Arthur. You know those names, Karima, Mariama. We have them in this side of the world as well.
I know, and that's why I feel like I've always had this spiritual calling really
Yes.
towards that part of the world. And
That's
in
how
the
we
last year,
connected. I think
yeah,
it's
that's how
like,
we
I don't
connected.
even know. It's through the names, like really
Yes, yes. And
fascinating.
it wasn't by accident. I
No,
know we're going to
nothing
do
happens by
more
accident.
great
Oh
things
my God,
together.
absolutely not.
Yes, yes.
Well, what a delight for conversation. You are such a delight, my dear Karima, and I am so impressed with your, excellence in the work you do, and and putting that out there as a book for everybody to help and really sharing this. I think that's really appreciative. More we do that, that's how we can change the world, and we can really encourage more women to do the same and men to do the same, because that's how we, you know, connect with each other and we improve each other's lives. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Would you like to say some last words? I know you have a meeting, so I'm kind of really, you told me, so where was
Mhm.
one comes from a lawyer, like, okay, fine.
Well, if I were to leave anyone with any closing thoughts, especially since we're at the beginning of the year and everyone's around, resolutions and all of that, I would say be careful about the commitments that you make. And when you say no, mean it. And one quick sort of advice that I say about giving this advice to myself is that when you are asked to do something and you're not quite sure if you want to say yes, don't respond right away. Take a moment, take a beat, go into meditation, look through your calendar, make sure not just physically that you can do it. Oh, I have space on my calendar, but mentally and emotionally, is that the kind of added stress or activity that you want in your life? If you don't, say no and mean it.
That's it. I love it. Make your word gold. Yes
Yes.
is yes and
Yeah.
no is no. That's it. I think this is the best context for this year, is like for every woman to stand on her word and mean it.
Yes.
Yeah. Love
Mhm.
that. This is beautiful. Thank you so much for honoring us today, Karima. It has been delightful and fun. And thank you, everyone. Zahra is saying one last thing, a session that gives a break to the work of the empowerment of women. Thank you, Zahra. And thank you, Karima.
Thank you. My
Sending you
pleasure.
so much, yeah, sending you so much love, everyone. Thank you for being with us. And I'll see you in the internet. Bye, everyone. So.
Bye bye.